Good morning, everybody. I had my 62 top set out for another reason for I was doing another video real quick. And I thought while I had it out, I'd get to know my cards a little bit better. The 62 set is a set that I started working on this year. I don't have very many, as you can see. Condition is not the greatest. I know there's some big boy cards in this set, and I'd like to put together, at least this year, an okay, like, common set. But so that's my goal. But I thought while I had these out, I would get to know each one of these ball players and each one of these cards a little bit better. And so if you stick with me, I did put a little something together that I hope you'll enjoy.
Jim King, Washington Senators, outfield. Given the chance to play regularly, Jim proved that he could hit major league pitching. The outfielder had previously played with Chicago, St. Louis, and San Francisco in the National League. Jim tore the Double-A apart in 1954, crashing home 127 RBIs and batting .314. No peace pipe for Jim. Jim was all set to play in Cleveland when Washington drafted him. Jim Brosnan, Cincinnati Reds pitcher. Considered one of the top relief men in baseball, Jim led the Reds in total appearances last season. A 17-game winner in the PCL in 1955, the bespectacled right-hander won a shot with the Chicago Cubs. Traded to the Cards in '58, Jim came to the Reds the following year. Rough man to hit. In 1960, Jim had his finest year as he posted astounding 2.36 ERA. The Los Angeles Angels, 1961. Batting leaders: Albie Pearson, 288. Home run leader, Leon Wagner with 28. RBI leader was Ken Hunt with 84. Hits leader was Lee Thomas with 129. The 1961 pitching leaders: Ken McBride with a 3.64 ERA. And Ken McBride had 174 strikeouts. Mickey Vernon, Washington Senators, manager. Mickey completed his first year as a manager in 1961, and baseball experts all agree that he did a commendable job with the newly formed ball club. The manager was a familiar figure in Washington, having played for the old Senators for 14 years. Mickey was a top star during his playing days and a veteran of 7 All-Star games. Twice during his career, the first baseman was the American League batting champ, winning in 1946 when he hit .353, and in 1953 with a .337 mark. In 1953, Mickey led the AL with 43 doubles, and the following year he was also the champ with 33 two-baggers before taking over the managerial duties for the Senators. Mickey spent a season in the National League as a player coach with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Pete Reichert, LA Dodgers, pitcher. Pete is one of the Dodgers' most highly regarded prospects. In 1960, he set the Southern Association on fire by winning 19 games, completing 17 of them. In 225 innings that year, Pete struck out 251 batters. Arm trouble held up the youngster's progress last season. Whitewashing wonder: Pete hurled 6 shutouts with Atlanta in 1960 to lead the league. Stu Miller, San Francisco Giants, pitcher. The top relief pitcher in the National League baffled American League hitters in both All-Star games in 1961. Stu pitched a total of 4 2/3 scoreless innings and received credit for winning the first game. He struck out 9 batters in the few innings he was on the mound. A magician on the mound, Stu led the NL with a low 2.47 ERA as a Giant in 1958. Jerry Zimmerman, Minnesota Twins catcher. Jerry played 9 seasons in the minor leagues before getting a chance to prove himself as a major leaguer. In 1958, in the Double-A, Jerry played 57 games without committing an error. The catcher was traded to the Twins from the Reds in January '62. A hit with his mitt. Jerry has led 3 minor leagues in fielding during his career. Dale Long, Washington Senators, first base. A powerful slugger, Dale is always a terror to the pitchers. The first sacker set a record with the Pittsburgh Pirates in 1956 when he smashed 8 home runs in 8 consecutive games. Dale led the PCL in 1953 when he clouded 35 round trippers and batted in 135 runs. Dale hits the long ball. As a pitcher hitter in 59, Dale hit 2 consecutive home runs. Paul Brown, Philadelphia Phillies, pitcher. The Philadelphia management thinks that they have a real hot shot in the youngster. Paul won 11 games in 1960, his first year in organized baseball with Elmira. Last season, he worked his way up to the International League and posted a nifty 2.20 ERA there. Paul throws the pill. Paul pitched a one-hitter for Buffalo in the Little League World Series. Merritt Ranu, Houston Colts, catcher. Merritt was a highly prized prospect of the Milwaukee Braves until the Colts drafted the backstop last winter. He has a fine minor league record, having played on his league's all-star team during each of his first 4 seasons in organized ball. They say he can't miss. He merits the big leagues. In the Northwestern League in 1960, Merritt hit a torrid .364. Jesus McFarland, Pittsburgh Pirates, catcher. The young catcher has an excellent chance to jump all the way to the majors from the Sally League in 1 season. One of the most consistent hitters in the Pirates chain during the past 4 years, Jesus suddenly started hitting with power in Asheville in 1961. Slick at the plate. Jesus has hit over 300 in 3 of his 4 minor league seasons. Fred Hutchinson, Cincinnati Reds, manager. After having his club finish 5th and 6th in his first 2 years as a manager, Fred Hutchinson's Cincinnati Reds surprised everyone by winning the 1961 National League flag. Fred, the one-time pitching ace for the Detroit Tigers, was an 18-game winner in 1947. A 10-year pitching veteran in the majors, the right-hander won 95 games during his big league career. In 1952 and 1953, Red was the pitching manager for the Detroit club. After winning the PCL championship with Seattle in 55, he came back to the majors to manage the St. Louis Cardinals for 3 seasons. A master of the old pitching art, Fred is credited with Jim O'Toole and Joe Jay's emergence as big winner in 61. Johnny Keane, St. Louis Cardinals, manager. The St. Louis Cardinals are in the capable hands of Johnny Keane this season. Johnny has had plenty of experience in baseball as a performer and as a manager. The former shortstop and third baseman joined the Cardinals in 1958 as a coach, and last year was signed to manage the club for 62. Johnny never played in the major leagues, but he hit over 300 in 6 of the 15 seasons he spent in the minors. When he was only 26 years old, the flashy infield managed his first club in the Georgia-Florida League, and it won the pennant. Working his way up through the minors, John spent 17 years holding the managerial reins of different clubs. From 1952 to 1958, he was the head of Omaha in the American Association. Jerry Buchek, St. Louis Cardinals, shortstop. One of the promising youngsters on the Cardinals roster, Jerry has been in pro ball for only 2 years. An outstanding gloveman, the infielder's hitting in the Texas League in 1960 earned him a quick promotion to the AAA club, optioned to minors by Cards April 1962. An All-American boy, Jerry played baseball for the American Legion in St. Louis in 1958. Chuck Hinton, Washington Senators, outfield. The fleet-footed outfielder was originally the property of the Baltimore Orioles before being drafted by the Senators at the end of 1960. Chuck hit a lusty .358 and led his league in batting in 1958. The talented lad has played all 4 infield positions too. The batting champ, Chuck led the California League in 1960 with a .369 batting mark. Jim Pendleton, Houston Colts, infield and outfield. A perennial 300 hitter in the minors, Jim has never played below AAA competition. He has played with the Milwaukee Braves, the Pittsburgh, and the Cincinnati Reds, but spent the last 2 seasons in the International League. Jim originally belonged to the old Brooklyn Dodgers. Running around the bases, Jim led the American Association with 19 triples in 1950. Art Ditmar, Kansas City Athletics, pitcher. Art returned to the Athletics last year by way of a mid-season deal with the Yankees. After starting his big league career with Kansas City, the right-hander appeared in 5 World Series games with New York. Art's best season was 1960 when he won 15 ball games. Rattling off the wins, Art won 7 consecutive games at Savannah in 1953 with a 2.43 ERA. Albie Pearson, Los Angeles Angels, outfield. After being named the Rookie of the Year in 1958, Albie's batting average tailed off so much that he spent most of the 1960 season in the International League. Compiling a 3.01 average with Miami that year, the pint-sized outfielder made a fine comeback with the Angels in '61. Deep in the heart of Texas, Albie's astronomical .371 batting mark led the Texas League in '56. Jim Marshall, New York Mets, first base. A hard-slocking batsman in the minors, Jim hit over 200 home runs before making the majors in 1958. In 1950, his first season of pro ball, Jim hit .336 in Albuquerque while leading the league with 17 triples. The first Sacker has played with Baltimore, the Chicago Cubs, and the Giants. Smashing through the PCL, Jim led the PCL in 1954 at Oakland with 31 home runs and 123 RBIs. Gino Camoli, Kansas City Athletics, outfield. Joining the Athletics in the winter months, Gino should do well in the AL this year. The outfielder came up to the big leagues with the Dodgers after hitting a .306 for 2 consecutive seasons with Montreal. Gino has played with the Cardinals, the Pirates, and the Braves. Changing positions, Gino appeared in 2 minor league games as a pitcher in 1956. Ozzie Virgil, Baltimore Orioles, third base. Talk about versatility. Ozzie played second, third, and short during his minor league days, in addition to some catching and picket duties. Joining the Orioles last winter, the third Sacker has previously played in the majors with the Giants and the Detroit Tigers. Ozzie does it easy. Ozzie led the Texas League in fielding at third base in 1955. Jim Archer, Kansas City Athletics, pitcher. Jim proved to be the most effective pitcher of the athletic staff last season, as his club-leading ERA indicates. The 1961 rookie pitched in tough luck, so that his one-lost record was not an accurate story of his true value. Jim started his career in the Oriole organization. Archer throws in the pitch. With Knoxville in 1957, Jim won 11 games and had a 1.89 ERA. Bobby Tiffenauer, Houston Colts, pitcher. The Colts are hoping that Bobby will be able to win an important spot on their pitching staff this year. The right-hander has been a top minor leaguer since 1948. During the past 2 seasons in the International League, Bobby has won 27 games. Bob does the job. Bobby led the International League when he pitched in 68 games in 1958.